Welcome, travelers. I'm your guide through time as we explore the evolution of vampires through 9 iconic movies from the silent film to the modern age. So grab some popcorn and buckle up, for we are now traveling through In the dawn of the silent film era in 1922, F.W. Murnau would masterfully direct one of the most terrifying pieces of cinema. Nosferatu would introduce us to the first vampire in film. Shown as a very pale, long-fingered creature with long, sharp teeth, this horrific imagery would echo terror into the modern age. With only sunlight being able to kill the creature, we would also learn it requires to rest in the dirt of its land to be able to travel the world. Fast forward to the year 1931, Bela Lugosi would put on the cape and makeup and become one of the most iconic adaptations of the vampire Dracula. His portrayal would provide a deeper view of the vampire's persuasion on mortals. With a hand raised saying the command, "Come to me," the victim would be placed in a trance state. This would assist with both feeding and commanding others to do the vampire's bidding. The crucifix and wolfsbane would also be introduced as new weaknesses. Coming into 1948, Bela Lugosi would reprise his role as Dracula to star in Abbott and Costello Meets Frankenstein. Even through the comedy lens, this version of vampires would remain the same as before, including death by sunlight and sleeping in a coffin. Through the 50s and 60s, we saw a lot of B-horror films which didn't alter much when it came to the vampire lore. In 1979, in a little town located in Maine, we would see a horrifying retelling of the classic in a more modern-day scope. Based on the Stephen King novel, Salem's Lot would bring us the Nosferatu imagery into full color with grotesque makeup, glowing eyes, and added snarls. Through siring, we'd see the townfolk join the damned, and holy water was now used as a new weapon against this midnight foe. Traveling forward into 1987, vampires would be sporting acid-wash jeans and lustrous manes of hair. Inspired heavily by the 80s, the Lost Boys would now show vampires working within a pack. With their too cool for school attitudes, vampires were now aligning with the youth/alt culture. In 1992, we would revisit Dracula once more under the direction of Francis Ford Coppola. This time, it would star Gary Oldman suiting up to play one of the most elegant and beastly versions of this character to date. This interpretation of Dracula could walk in daylight and control the storms. His full transformations came in many different forms in the film, and his charm to seduce brought vampires into a whole new light of sultry and horror. A war between monsters, tales of forbidden love, and the story of a hero becoming the greatest villain would change the way pop culture feared and celebrated these immortal beings. Starting in 2003, Underworld would provide a deeper look into the ideology of covens and bloodlines. In this action-packed, Matrix-influenced film, we see vampires battle it out for supremacy against their werewolf brethren. UV and silver nitrate-infused bullets would be just a few new weapons to battle both forces. Though the film would also have a love interest, 2009's film Twilight would blast the doors off the concept of forbidden love. Based off the highly successful book series The Twilight Saga by Stephenie Meyer, this passionate love story dove into understanding vampires on an emotional level. Sunlight would no longer hurt them but reveal their true form. Superpowers such as mind reading and seeing into the future would unlock even more layers to the vampire's abilities. This franchise would take the world by storm and reimagine vampires to be more romantic and welcoming than terror of the night. But the night is always darkest before the dawn, and in 2014, the dawn of Dracula Untold would bring us to the end. We would now see how the Prince of Transylvania would become the vampire Dracula we know so well. With CGI at its peak, we as an audience finally see the fantastical nature of being a vampire. As he transforms into a swarm of bats to his super hearing and connection to the night, this film really gives us a taste of what it feels like to be a vampire.